What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Twins Latest. I'm Sam Calder, and let's get this week started on a positive note. We've got a fun episode today with lots to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Could it be possible that the Twins are still searching for help in the starting rotation? Because according to Darren Wolfson of KSTP, the Twins were, quote, heavily involved with starting pitcher Framber Valdez, who inevitably signed with our division rival, the Detroit Tigers. To some extent, it kind of seems like the Twins are always heavily involved with all these big name free agents that we never end up getting. But I think it definitely could be possible that the Twins could still sign one of the top free agent starting pitchers. The biggest name still out there is Zach Gallen, formerly of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Gallen looked like an ace just a couple of years ago in 2023, but his production has really taken a dive the past couple of seasons, and in particular last year. He finished the year with a 4.83 ERA over 192 innings, with 175 strikeouts to 66 walks. Although his ERA in the first half of the season was at 5.40, so he actually had a much better second half of the year with an ERA in the high threes. He kind of just took a step back everywhere. He walked more guys, he struck out fewer, he gave up more hard contact, and his pitches were just flat out not as good. He has a 6-pitch mix, although he throws his fastball, curveball, and changeup 84% of the time, so it's really a 3-pitch mix with just a few other pitches behind it. His stuff plus rating on all 6 of his pitches were below league average. He doesn't throw super hard either. His fastball sits right around 93 to 94 miles an hour. There's just nothing about Zach Gallen's profile that intrigues me, to be honest. And considering he declined the $22 million qualifying offer the Diamondbacks offered him, he's going to be expecting more money than I'd like to see the Twins spend on him. So I'm probably good on Zach Gallen. After him, the next best starting pitcher available in free agency is probably Lucas Giolito, who was with the Boston Red Sox last year. Giolito finished the season with a 3.41 ERA over 145 innings and 121 strikeouts to 56 walks. He has a 4-pitch mix with a fastball, a slider, a changeup, and a curveball. His changeup and curveball are both above league average, while the 2 pitches he throws the most in his fastball and slider are below league average. Looking at the expected stats, Giolito had no business finishing the year with a 3.41 ERA. His expected ERA was way up at 5.06, so a massive discrepancy there. But compared to Gallen, Giolito strikes out fewer guys, he walks more, he gives up slightly less hard contact, but still more than you'd like. He gets fewer swings and misses and doesn't throw as hard either. So I'm not overly excited about Lucas Giolito. The last name that I want to look at is somebody I talked a little bit about a couple weeks ago. That is Chris Bassitt. Bassitt has spent the last handful of seasons with the Toronto Blue Jays and is just consistent year after year. He finished last season with a 3.96 ERA over 170 innings, along with 166 strikeouts to 52 walks. He is outstanding at giving up hard contact and gets a lot of ground balls as well. He also has less walk issues than Gallen and Giolito do, and considering he's going to be 37 this year, I think you could get him for fairly cheap. He has an 8-pitch mix, which is just crazy. None of them are elite pitches by any means. He's got a couple good ones. But when you have that many pitches in your arsenal, you're naturally just going to confuse hitters sometimes. If the Twins were going to target one of the top free agent starting pitchers, and I say if, Bassitt would be the one I would want them to go after, although I'm not sure at this point that I want them to go after any starting pitchers. I think that the rotation is talented enough and deep enough that that money should be used elsewhere if you're going to spend it. But again, if the Twins disagree with me and want to use that money on a starter, Bassitt would be my vote. But shifting from the free agent starting pitcher pool, I want to talk a little bit about a left-handed pitcher in today's prospect deep dive, and that is Kendry Rojas. I mentioned in Friday's video that we hadn't talked about him at all in the past couple of weeks, so I figured I'd change that up today. Rojas is a 6'2", 190-pound lefty who came over from the Blue Jays as part of the Louis Varland and Ty France trade at last year's trade deadline. He just turned 23. He has a 4-pitch mix with a sinker, a slider, a 4-seam, and a changeup. The sinker and slider are both above league average in terms of grades, and the changeup is not bad either. His fastball last year sat around 94 to 95 miles an hour. He got it up to about 97 though. His slider and his changeup are both at 86 to 87 miles an hour. I would like to see him add a curveball, something a little bit slower than his other pitches with a different movement pattern. But he's gotten a lot of swings and misses with his current mix, so it's clearly working for him already. 2025 was very much a tale of two halves for Kendry Rojas. He threw 36 and 2/3 innings across rookie ball, single A, and double A, where he had a collective 2.45 ERA and 56 strikeouts to 7 walks. Just absurd stuff. But then he got to triple A, and he did not do well across 32 and a third innings with the St. Paul Saints and Toronto's triple A team. He had a 7.24 ERA and 34 strikeouts to 25 walks. His batting average allowed at AAA was 324. Pair that with the fact that his walk rate jumped up to 16% of every hitter he faced, and it's not a surprise that he didn't perform well. I have no clue, frankly, what to expect in terms of command going forward. He walked 2 guys in 18 innings at AA, and then just immediately imploded the second he got to AAA. In 2024, his walk rate was at 5.5%. So the walk concerns are completely new, but it's not like it was just a couple starts that he had no command and then things got better. He had 13 walks over his final 10 and a third innings, so something's got to change. In addition, he allowed hard contact on 42.6% of balls put in play at AAA. I don't know exactly where that would rank among MLB pitchers, but Joe Ryan had a 41.9% hard contact rate last year, so just slightly better than Rojas, and he was in the 37th percentile. So Rojas would have been around the 30th percentile. From what I'm seeing, the raw stuff, if you will, is there for Kendry Rojas. He gets a good amount of swings and misses. His pitches move well and could be even more effective if he adds a curveball or some other pitch that moves towards his glove side. But he needs to find the strike zone ASAP, because not only were the walks a problem at AAA, he gave up 42 hits in 32 innings, and out of every single pitch he threw, only 45% of them were actually in the strike zone. Even the best strikeout pitchers in baseball, who get frequent swings and misses on pitches not in the strike zone, are at 50 to 55% of pitches in the zone. It's possible he starts the year at AA after his rough stint at AAA, but I don't anticipate he'll spend a lot of time there before being brought up if he starts at AA. He has the potential to make it to the majors at some point in 2026. I wouldn't bank on it personally, but I think we'll learn a lot about Kendry Rojas this year, because if he's good, we'll know that that small sample size at AAA was a fluke. But on the other hand, if he struggles again, there very well may be some serious questions about his long-term outlook as a starting pitcher that pop up as a result of that. But shifting from Kendry Rojas, pitchers and catchers officially report to spring training tomorrow. So we are extremely close to the start of baseball season. I want to talk about some spring training storylines to monitor over the next month and a half as far as potential roster construction and names to keep an eye on. The biggest one, in my opinion, is how do these up-and-coming outfielders look? We've done prospect deep dives on Walker Jenkins and Gabriel Gonzalez, but I want to see them actually take at-bats, because those two and Emmanuel Rodriguez are the Twins' top 3 outfield prospects. They're all expected to start the year in AAA. But what happens if, let's take Gabriel Gonzalez, for example. What happens if he gets 15 hits in 40 plate appearances and is just destroying baseballs? Would the Twins stay patient and start him in the minors? I don't know. I think it would be awfully tough to not give him an opening day spot, but it kind of seems like they want him in the minors. But I think it's going to be very fun to watch, and hopefully the Twins have this exact problem in spring training, and these young outfielders are just hitting the crap out of the ball. Another storyline to monitor will be how the Twins use their pitchers, because a bunch of guys are going to throw innings, that's a guarantee. But who gets the starts? And what happens if/when somebody we expect to be a starter is consistently not starting games and is only getting relief innings? Or what if someone like Connor Prelip or Mick Abel just flat out dominates, is getting a ton of swings and misses, pounding the strike zone, and they're looking like somebody that could be, an immediate contributor in the starting rotation. I don't know. I think it's certainly going to be interesting. Would they get a spot in the rotation over someone like Simeon Woods Richardson or Zebby Matthews? I tend to think not, but it would certainly be a lot harder to not have them on the opening day roster. And then the other thing that I really want to see in spring training is how Derek Shelton does the batting order, because we have a general idea of what it may look like. I talked about my projected opening day batting order on Friday's episode, so if you want to listen to that, go check that out. But he could very easily have a completely different idea of what he thinks it should look like. I've been assuming Byron Buxton will be hitting leadoff, but what if he's hitting third or fourth? And what if someone like Luke Keyshaw or Trevor Larnach is leading off? It'll be interesting to see how it looks on days where the starting lineup isn't all starters as well, because Derek Shelton won't necessarily push all of the, regular everyday guys to the top of the lineup. I would anticipate he'll put his starters in the batting order where he intends they'll normally be. So while it is just spring training and these games don't matter in the grand scheme of things, you can still learn some tendencies and see how the Twins plan on using guys over the course of the season. But as always, to wrap up the episode, we've got our Twins player preview, and today we are looking at Twins starting catcher Ryan Jeffers. Last year, Jeffers hit .266 with a .356 on-base percentage and 35 extra base hits in 119 games. On paper, it was the second best offensive season of his career, behind only 2023. But despite the strong season last year, I think there's a lot of ways I could see 2026 going wrong for Ryan Jeffers, or I guess just going in general. He's historically hit the ball pretty hard, but last year was a weird one for him. He hit .266, like I said, and had the best expected batting average of his career, but the power really took a dive. He had just 9 home runs in 464 plate appearances. For reference, he had 465 plate appearances in 2024, and he hit 21 home runs. Maybe that's just the type of hitter Ryan Jeffers is now. He might hit for a decently high batting average, but at the expense of his power. But I think for his sake, he should be trying to get some pop back into his bat this year. Jeffers was far better against left-handed pitching last season. He hit .248 with a .307 on-base percentage against righties, compared to a .313 batting average with a .462 on-base percentage against lefties. He's always been decent at drawing walks, but his walk rate jumped up to 10.8% last year, which was in the 78th percentile of all hitters. That's outstanding, but you'd love to see his numbers against righties jump up a bit, considering you'll face roughly 2 or 3 righties for every lefty you face. The Twins also signed another catcher this offseason in Victor Caratini, and he was basically the exact same hitter as Jeffers last year and was better against righties. But in addition, Caratini is a better defender behind the plate than Jeffers is, and if both are producing a similar offensive output, wouldn't you just want to start the better defender more? So I could see a season where Jeffers hits .260 with 20 home runs, but I could also see a world where his numbers take a dip, and because of that, he loses out on some significant playing time. In a perfect world where both Jeffers and Caratini stay healthy for 162 games, which likely will not happen, but we can imagine, I would think Jeffers catches roughly 100 of those games and Caratini catches the other 62. But that could all change if one guy is hot and the other is slumping. So I don't really know, to be fully honest, what to expect for Jeffers in 2026. But he'll start every day against lefties, I know that much, and he should remain the Twins starting catcher on most days. But that's all I've got for today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning into Twins Latest. And if you enjoyed, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton. If you've got a Twins-related topic or topics that you want me to touch on in a future episode, please let me know in the comments below. But until next time, I'm Sam Calder, and I'm out.